Packers fans, welcome into the Green 19 podcast from JS Online and PackersNews.com, a special Friday edition of the Green 19 from here on Lambeau Field. I'm Cassidy Hill, joined by Ryan Wood and Tom Silverstein as the Packers get ready to kick off Week 2 against the Chicago Bears. It'll be their home opener. Guys, we see people walking around here right now, power washing seats down, getting concession stands set up. There's a lot of excitement because even though there has been Week 1 and it did result in a loss, Bears come to town on Sunday, Ryan, for the NFL's oldest rivalry. When you're coming off a Week 1 loss like the Packers did, 23-7 to the Vikings, does that change how you go into this first Sunday night game?
Yeah, you can't go 0-2. And if you do go 0-2, you're staring 0-3 right in the face because next week it's at Tampa against Tom Brady. And that's a tough game looming on the horizon after this one. So it's very similar to last year when they came back from that 38-3 stinker against the Saints in Jacksonville. They had a Monday night game against the Lions, a game they had to win, but they also should win. And they knew that a cross-country flight to San Francisco was looming after that Lions game. Very similar. They have a primetime game here against the Bears coming off another opening stinker, knowing that another tough Week 3 opponent is looming. They gotta take care of business in this one because you don't want to have the possibility of having another flat game with a potential 0-3 staring at you right in the face.
Spoon, we've talked a lot this week, and Packers coaches and players have talked a lot this week about how you can't tell much from that Chicago Bears win over the 49ers because they were playing in a monsoon. How much can you tell about the Packers coming off that loss to the Vikings as they prepare for Chicago? If you're Chicago, what are you taking from that game tape?
Well, that they play a lot of zone on defense. We all know that, right?
For better or for worse?
That they're going to ignore Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. So those would be my two takeaways if I were scouting that game. I don't know. I don't think the Packers are the kings of disguise. I think you know what they are, you know what they do. Matt LaFleur has run the same offense for 3 years. They're going to put people in different positions offensively. They're going to, rely on their pass rush, their front four to get pass rush, and they're going to, play to their corners. So I don't think there's a lot of mystery to who the Packers are. I think they just have to play better.
With that in mind, as you said, you're going to rush for it. They've got Justin Fields coming in this week. He is a dual-threat guy who can use his legs. Between that and Allen Lazard coming back, what is your biggest key to the game? You only get one.
I think keeping Fields in the pocket is probably number one because I think they have the ability to score enough points to win, but they can't give up like garbage touchdowns, like the touchdown that Fields threw to Dante Pettis, where they just left a guy wide open. They can't give him those kind of stuff. He has to earn everything, and so I think if they can keep him in the pocket, keep him from getting outside and completing 50-yard touchdowns, then they'll be okay.
Ryan, just score more points, he said. They should be able to score enough. That's a bold statement coming off of 7 points against the Vikings. Just kidding, Spoon. All of that being said, is Allen Lazard the key to the game here for the offense? Is it focusing more on Jones and Dillon again like they didn't do versus the Vikings? What's your key?
No, I think it's the latter. Allen Lazard is expected to be back, and that will help. Where that will help as much as he's the number one receiver in the pass game is he's their best blocking receiver, and this is an offense. Early season, it's about establishing identity. They need to establish their identity, and that identity, the bedrock of this offense, is running the ball and using your two best playmakers, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, in the backfield, and working everything through them, which they did not do in the opener against the Vikings. Adam Stinovich, the offensive coordinator, said something very interesting about Allen Lazard, which is that first and foremost, him coming back, you know that you're getting a gritty, physical receiver who is willing to do the dirty work and the stuff that doesn't show up in the stat sheets. So if they need to get back to running the ball, and they do, having Allen Lazard will help that because he's their best blocker at the position. But getting back to the run game, period, everything flows off that, the action pass game. They've got to run to set up the pass. Getting back to that run game is fundamental to what this offense needs to be.
Couple of housekeeping notes as we are recording this on a Thursday. John Runyon did not practice today. He's still in concussion protocol. Did not see David Bakhtiari out there either. Matt LaFleur said that that's kind of the plan for Bakhtiari. Is there's not going to be a week where he practices 3 straight weeks. All of that to say, Ryan, let me start with you, and then Spoon, I'll come to you. Do you expect to see Bakhtiari and Jenkins out here on Sunday, and what's the game plan look like if they're not?
Well, Elton Jenkins has a much better chance than David Bakhtiari. We reported this past Sunday that the plan has not been for him to play week 2. That that's a long week ahead. Things are subject to change, but the expectation was that David Bakhtiari would not be available against the Bears, and there's been nothing to indicate that that's going to change.
Spoon, I mean, can they get through another week without David Bakhtiari? And then how big is it on defense to see Quay Walker practice all week after that injury?
Yeah, missing Bakhtiari wasn't as big as missing Elton Jenkins. Yash Nyman did a pretty decent job, and he always does. He's not the greatest run blocker, but he's a good pass blocker, and he can protect Rodgers. That right side of the line was, sometimes leaky, and I think if Elton Jenkins can play, then you can put your best player at right guard, whether that's Zach Tom, Royce Newman, whoever you deem, Jake Hansen, whoever you deem to be, you're adding a better player. Runyon, I think, it was a good sign that he was at practice each of the 2 days. Usually if you're in concussion protocol and you're not doing well, you're not even at practice. They just keep you home. So he's been working out on the side. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays.
So don't give me scores, although I think we all went 0 for 4 with the Vikings
yes,
predictions.
we did.
Yes, none of us got that, not even got close. So don't give me scores because those will be in the Press Gazette and Milwaukee Journal Sentinel over the weekend. But Ryan, your overall prediction for this game?
You have to win the games you're supposed to win. This is a game they're supposed to win. They can't, losing on the road against the Vikings, a solid playoff contender in their own right in the opener, that can be excused. You're not going to win every game in this league. Home against the Bears, a team that you're supposed to win, whether it's Soldier Field or Lambeau Field, they got to win this game. I expect they'll take care of business.
Spoon?
I think it'll be a grind. I think it's going to be a grind for a while with them. Unless Chicago turns the ball over a bunch of times, I think this will be one of those games where they're going to have to get into the end zone by hook or crook. They're not just going to rely on Devontae Adams to roast, the secondary. They're going to have to really spread the ball around, and I think they're going to have some struggles offensively. Defensively, I expect them to be better. I think they'll win. I just don't think it'll be a super impressive win.
Yeah, I agree. I think defense was more of an anomaly last week. I think offense was sort of what we're going to possibly see from this team for the next couple of weeks because they don't know who they are yet. And until they do, they're going to be figuring it out. But as you both said, this is a game they should win. They probably will win. But will it be a blowout? Not likely so. We will be there to cover it for you all on PackersNews.com. Full coverage leading up to, during, and after the game. Make sure to follow Tom's live blog during the game as well on JS Online. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. This has been the Green 19 podcast from JS Online and PackersNews.com.